Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today's journal with me is a little bit different because I'm going to be doing a collage page because I was so fortunate to receive so many magical, wonderful Valentine's Day Happy Mail envelopes and treats from so many of you out there. I really wanted to use all of it. So what I'm doing right now is separating all of the different ephemera into like sizes just to make the collaging a little bit easier. And so now that I've done that, I'm going to find a page to use that would be perfect for collaging. I started this journal in December and it's filling up so fast. I absolutely love it though. It's bringing me a lot of joy during these very interesting times that we're living in. So here's just a quick flip through so you could kind of see the status of my journal. Once I find a page, I'm just going to try to make it as flat as I can because like I said, it's getting a little bit thick, but I'm going to just keep going with it. And so this page is perfect to do my collage. So now, the first thing I'm going to do is create a solid base to get started. So I'm going to start with those bigger pieces of ephemera, the wrapping paper and the tissue paper and that book page that actually came out of this journal that I made, this book. I'm going to start with those bigger pieces because I find when I start with the bigger pieces, it's best to layer that way. So I'm just using my ruler because I don't really need this to be an exact science. I kind of want it to look just kind of hodgepodge. It doesn't need to be perfect. So ripping the paper actually is the best method as opposed to using scissors and having really sharp lines. So I loved that adorable envelope that was sent to me. I really wanted to use it on the page because those stamps are all so cute and super festive. So I just ripped the envelope so you could see most of the stamp still, but so that it would fit on the page. And I'm just going to use a glue stick. And a little trick I use, because I use a lot of glue, I always want to make sure everything is down very secure because I want my journals to last forever and I don't want anything coming up, is I use wax paper so that I make sure that when I'm gluing, I get all the way to the edge so that when I put the paper or the ephemera down onto my page, it's going to stick all the way through. So I put whatever I'm gluing onto a piece of wax paper so I don't get glue all over my workspace and my cutting board and my desk or my journal. So always make sure you have wax paper handy because that way you can really get all the way 100% around the entire perimeter of whatever you are gluing. So that's my little trick of the day. Make sure you use wax paper. So I just used a glue stick and I put it all over the back of that vintage book page, and that's going to be the base for one side of this layout. And now I'm just going to glue the rest of those pieces down. So now that I have most of my layout covered in a good solid base, I'm going to look through some of those medium size pieces that I know I want to use, and I'm going to see which ones will fit best on this page. And so I absolutely love this envelope. I know I want to use it. I just don't know how because it's a little bit big. These pages are kind of narrow, so it makes it a little more challenging to use this journal. But I just love that envelope. I love the Winnie the Pooh on it. I knew I wanted to use it. So now I just need to figure out where everything's going to go, where everything fits best, because I want my collage to look very organic and even a little bit chaotic, a little bit messy, but I still want it to make sense. And I still want the ephemera to be showcased in an interesting way. So I don't just want it all thrown on there and glued on. I really do want it to look organic, but I still want all of the pieces that I really love to shine in their own way, so that when you open up the scrapbook, you see the page and your eye immediately kind of goes to the first thing and then the second thing and then the third thing. So it's kind of a balance. It's a little bit of a juggle. And so I'm just trying to find which pieces work best. And so like I said, I start with the biggest ones. I'm now starting to work with that medium size ephemera to see just what pieces work best. And then I'll head over to those smaller ones and fill in some of the blanks. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm really just kind of playing around with the pieces and making this puzzle fit together in a way that will be cohesive and organic, but still make the most sense. And so right now it's just, I'm trying to pull this page into focus. And I'm also trying to use some of my favorite pieces, like that postcard. I absolutely love it, and it just doesn't seem like it's gonna work on this page. So actually I end up using a page I wasn't really planning on using. I was only gonna make this a full layout, and it turned into a page and a half, which is totally fine. I'm totally happy because I love the way it turned out. So you'll see me turn that page very soon and decide to collage a little more. So now that I've went ahead and put a lot of my favorite medium-sized ephemera on there, I need to start filling in some of those smaller blanks. So I'm going to start kind of going through some of this ephemera that's a little bit smaller that I can add to add a little more character to some of those blank spots. And I knew I needed to use that Baby Yoda at some point because, oh my gosh, how cute is that? So right about here was where I knew I was going to need to use another half page because there were just some pieces that I really, really wanted in my journal. This adorable postcard with Snow White and Prince Charming needed to be on there, and I really loved the little bag with Winnie the Pooh, and so I just turned it into a pocket to put that in. So now I just am going to start looking at my other pieces because now that I've added another page, I know that I can add much more ephemera, which is kind of exciting. So now I'm going to use this ribbon and I'm going to just scrunch it up and staple it on the side of the page to create a trim. It's a technique I use all the time in almost every journal I make because I just really love the way it looks, and I love the way you can use trim and ribbon in a decorative way and you don't have to sew. I love the way sewing looks in junk journals, and I applaud all of my fellow creators who use it because it looks so beautiful, but I just don't have space to pull out my sewing machine. I work in really small work areas, so for me it's all about the stapler. So as you can see, I just pull up a tiny bit at a time and I just staple it right on the end, and I quite love the way it looks. I'm all about imperfection. I've talked about that many times on my channel. I don't want my journals to look perfect because that really wouldn't reflect me. I'm so imperfect. I'm a little bit messy. I'm kind of all over the place. And I'm okay with that. I fully accept that about myself. It's taken me years to get to a place to say, you know what, that's okay. That's who you are. And so I certainly wouldn't want my journal to reflect something that is not authentically me. So for me to have the perfect, most beautiful aesthetic journal would just be silly because that really would not reflect who I am. So I'm all about stapler, you know, ribbon, trim, because to me, I like it. To me, it's a little bit imperfect, but I think it has character. And so I use it a lot. And as you can see, there's staples right on the side, and all I did was glue something right over it, or actually I used double stick tape. And it went right over it and you can't even tell. So that's a really fun technique. You can use it with trim, you can use it with extra fabric, you could use it with ribbon, you could use it with whatever you have handy. So now I'm just going to flip back and forth and see what little odds and ends need to be added. I'm going to put some washi tape right down the center to make sure that it doesn't peel up as pages get turned as I continue to work in my journal. So I'm just adding a few pieces of washi tape right down the center. Again, doesn't need to look perfect, just where I think something might have the potential to lift up. And I think the next thing I'm going to do is just flip over and add a few more embellishments to that Winnie the Pooh page. I love this pink tag. It came in some stamps I ordered, and it just seems perfect for the page. So I'm going to put it on because I just think it looks so pretty. So I went ahead and did my journaling off camera, and now I'm just going to staple it right to the top of the page. So now that I'm just about done, I'm going to get out my tiny word stickers. You know I absolutely love these. And I'm just going to stick a few around the 3 pages that are a part of this layout. I just think it adds a nice finished look to the page, especially where there's smaller little places that may not have anything and it might be a slightly open space. So thank you so much for following along. I hope you were inspired. I hope you have a really great week, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye.